Welcome to the OER Basics presentation. We have a problem. Textbooks cost so much that students can't afford to buy them anymore. Textbook prices go up about 6% every year. Meanwhile, student spending on course materials is declining, probably because students are choosing to pay for food, housing, and other essentials instead. Students skip buying textbooks even though they know that not having the book will probably affect their grade in the class. If they buy the book with student loan money, they will wind up paying more than the sticker price because they'll have to repay the amount plus interest. This is one area where faculty can have a direct effect on student costs. We don't set tuition prices, we don't determine fees, but our textbook choices have a real impact on what students are asked to spend each term. This is not intended to hurt the campus bookstore. It is already clear that high textbook prices are driving students away from the bookstore as they shop online, rent, or skip buying the textbook altogether. In fact, open materials can help college bookstores reclaim textbook revenue. Faculty, for their part, can make sure to let the bookstore know well in advance if they plan to switch so that the old book doesn't get ordered. This presentation looks at lowering textbook costs by using open educational resources. Library resources are another possible choice, and that option is covered in a different presentation. Open educational resources are course materials that are freely available and openly licensed so that faculty can do the 5 R's: revise, remix, reuse, redistribute, and retain. You can download the material, tailor it to your course, save a copy locally, and share it back out with attribution. There is so much to say about open licensing that I have a whole different presentation on that topic. Some people wonder whether free materials can possibly be any good. One way that academics handle questions of quality is through peer review. So, for example, many of the textbooks in the Open Textbook Library have been reviewed by other faculty for accuracy, clarity, organization, and other criteria. The evaluation rubric is available online. But everybody also knows that textbooks from traditional publishers aren't always perfect either. If you find an error or problem with a textbook that's under traditional copyright, all you can do about it is wait for the next and even more expensive edition to arrive. If the textbook is openly licensed, though, you can download it and make your own version that fixes the problems you found. You can make a version that's uniquely relevant to Oregon or that solves accessibility problems in the original. Then you can share back to the Commons so that other people don't have to repeat your work. With open educational resources, faculty have a lot more control over the quality of their course materials than with a traditional publisher textbook. If you want to get started with OER, the first step is to set aside some time to find and review open course materials. You may be changing just one small component of a module or redesigning your entire course. Whatever your plan is, expect to invest some effort and energy into this project. PCC has a very useful guide that can help you get started, or your campus may have its own resources. If you're looking for a textbook, the best place to start is the Open Textbook Library. They try to be comprehensive about collecting open textbooks, and they incentivize faculty to write peer reviews. You can also look at disciplinary resources. For example, the American Institute of Mathematics created a list of approved open math textbooks. The NOBA Project for Psychology and the American YOP for North American History are 2 more examples of OER textbooks created by and for a specific discipline. On the other hand, if you're redesigning your course, you may want to start by reviewing your learning objectives. What do you want your students to learn? What do you already have to support that? What do you still need in order to fill in the gaps? Focusing on learning objectives is helpful because it narrows the scope of what you're looking for. If this is the case, you may not be looking for a whole textbook. You may instead choose a chapter from a few different textbooks. You can search repositories for different kinds of learning objects to support your course. A repository of open content that I recommend is OER Commons. There are many other places to look, including Google Advanced Search, Merlot, Skillshare Commons for CTE, and more. It's easy to fall down the rabbit hole. If you do, try talking to a librarian to refocus your search. This can help save you time in the long run. Librarians are like human search filters and speak the language of course objectives fluently. What if you really want to get rid of your textbook, but you can't find existing content to adopt or adapt? Then you might decide to create your own open educational resource that you can share out with an open license. If you're interested in joining the OER movement, you can stay informed about news and events at openoregon.org. You can connect with colleagues and ask questions on the Open Oregon listserv. Thank you for listening.